Thank you once again. It's a pleasure to see all of you. Still part of housekeeping, we want to remind all those who could be logged in but didn't register. It is important that you register through that link. That helps us as facilitators to track how many participants that we are dealing with. Also to ask us to, if we can, alongside our names, put probably the country. That will also help us to in discussing and knowing who we are engaging with. Otherwise, I'm happy to take us through the introduction. This is basically the opening session of the training. And then subsequently, we are going to have remarks from a couple of people as the program starts. Wherever you are, we'll ask you to pray and whatever faith you believe in, we trust that God hears our prayers and answers our prayers. So this is a GAMES Africa RSM-RD online training workshop, and it's focused basically on wetland vulnerability analysis using GIS and Earth Observation data. In your Google Classroom, you will receive the concept note to this training, and there are a couple of assumptions that we have made. That people have or participants have at least basic understanding of GIS and remote sensing, among other things. The training builds on the Wetlands Vulnerability Analysis project implemented under the GAMES and Africa program, supported by the African Union and implemented by the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development. The assessment was achieved by using improved Earth observation datasets and improving the methodology that deploys GIS modeling and analysis. Wetlands vulnerability analysis aim to really enhance the wetlands monitoring and assessment using geospatial tools and Earth observation datasets. As the training goes on, some of these will be unveiled to the participants. Some of the state-of-art data sets and tools that have been developed to really equip us and empower us to be able to do analysis, especially in the wetland subsector. But of course, these tools can be used across other natural resources. For example, last week, there was a training on the same, but it dwelt and focused more on land. So the GAMES program, this will be also in the remarks of the team at GMES and RSM-RD and Makere and ESIPS International. So they will talk more about this program. But this is a co-financed program by the European Union and the African Union. And the intent really is to address the growing needs of African countries to access and use of Earth observation, because there's a lot you can do, that we can do, that we need to harness this capability that is available, and really to achieve sustainable growth across the continent. So ESIPS International, this is a private firm, together with implementing partners, that's RSM-RD. There will be remarks from them as well. And the Department of Geomatics and Land Administration at Makere University are the hosts for this 4 days training for stakeholders from all project implementing countries and those interested globally. We have participants from India, we have participants from Pakistan, and of course across the Africa continent. And it will be running for 4 days, basically from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Every day. The training will be a forum to disseminate some of the outputs and discuss methods developed and sharing experiences to the end users to achieve the Games and Africa Union objectives of really capacity building, use and development of Earth observation application. And of course, given the current challenges, challenge of the global pandemic of COVID, would have loved that this would be physical, but because of that, we have had to have this training online. So the objective is two-pronged. One, empower participants with the skills to use Earth observation data and tools in assessing wetland vulnerability. And secondly, equip participants with knowledge and skills of wetland vulnerability assessment tools and products in monitoring and assessing wetland vulnerability assessment. So we have run sort of a survey to gauge the expectations of the participants, and we hope that by the end of this training, would be able to have achieved these two objectives. Once we get them achieved, I think we'll count ourselves as facilitators, but also as participants, having had a successful training. The expected learning outcomes, we hope that once you go through this 4 days training, and of course we are counting on your dedication and commitment to the training, you'll be able to apply Earth observation tools and data in wetland vulnerability monitoring and assessment. You'll be able to visualize and interpret outputs of wetland vulnerability assessment, use wetland vulnerability assessment tool in wetland monitoring and assessment, especially for decision makers and people who are in position of influence as such. The outline, this is in the program, but I'll quickly run through it. One will have an introduction to wetlands as an ecosystem and vulnerability assessment and analysis. I will also introduce you to Earth observation data for wetland assessments and collection tool. We'll have a session on stakeholder composition and steps of wetland vulnerability assessment, Earth observation data sources and processing for the same. We'll point you to where these data sets are, how you can access them, and we'll be able to share with you the links to the same. We'll take you through wetland vulnerability analysis tool development concept as a concept, and then configuring and using wetland vulnerability assessment tool. This is a desktop application, and accessing and using wetland vulnerability assessment analysis tool as a web application. We have shared the program with all of us, and it's at this point that I would like to now sort of formally turn the training, or having the formal really opening session for this training, and having gone through really a quick look at what we expect. And so I will not go so much into the program, but just to emphasize that it's a 4 days training running from 2 to 5 p.m. Of course, we'll be registering participation. We hope to award a certificate of participation. And so the key word there is participation. And we'll have a mechanism of grading participation. And this will be an e-certificate that will be sent to the emails of all participants who would have successfully attended the training. And so without much ado, I'll bring my presentation to stop and then focus on the official opening of the session. I thank you for listening. So in our midst, there are persons who are in charge of this program. And this is, of course, from the implementing partners, but then all the way to the African Union. And the last I checked that I think about almost all of them were present on the platform. And so at this point, I would like to take the opportunity to invite Dr. Jane Bemigisha. She's the Executive Director of ESIPS International. ESIPS International is a private continental firm that works and deals in environment surveys and spatial tools. And they are part of the implementing partners and consultants in this particular program. So Dr. Jane, over to you. We shall unmute your microphone and you're welcome to make your remarks to the audience. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Jane, we can see you and you've also been unmuted, so please proceed. Thank you.
I'm very gratified to meet you participants and everyone. And first, I would like to recognize the participation of the African Union Commission from the Global Monitoring of Environment and Security Program of Africa, who are the apex institution that is spearheading the program under which we are training today. I would like to recognize the presence of RCMRD. I hope Mr. Degelo Sendapo is with us. He's our leader at RCMRD from ESIPS who are implementing the vulnerability assessment. I would like to thank Makerere University, Professor Anthony Gidudu. I hope he's here. I recognize your presence, Prof, and I also welcome you to this session. I would like to welcome ESIPS International
School of Forestry.
It was a lockdown situation, but we managed to put together the methodology and a tool to analyze and estimate threats to the wetlands in the Eastern Africa region. We took 10 countries, as my colleague has intimated. And this assessment was a step to equip the region with a knowledge to manage better the threats that we identify. Therefore, you as participants, as you come aboard, it is that we build your capacity for the use. I see that over now 600 participants have registered, although we have fewer here right now. I think more will come. And these participants who have registered are showing us that the threats that we have on wetlands are really appreciated. I would like to appreciate your interest and to thank you so much for recognizing this issue of wetlands degradation and reduction in area. Globally, the Ramsar Convention, which is the global body that is responsible for policy formulations for wetlands management, has recognized or has assessed and found out that
so she sends me the presentation.
In the 20th century, globally, the wetlands declined at about 70%. And this could be really much more in different countries. Not to mention my country. And my country is Uganda. And I would like to see that on this note, the African Union has become so proactive to realize that this should be one of the issues that should be solved in their program. This tool is now tested in Eastern African region, but we look forward to see it tested globally and used, and that the outcomes will be visible. And therefore, you participants who have come today, you are our ambassadors. You are our ambassadors to see that there is sustainability of what was developed as small, and the sustainability is through the capacity that you will that will be built and awareness, and that you will take it forward in terms of development, in terms of awareness, and in terms of use, especially to be sure that it will be useful to the different countries that are facing wetlands decline and degradation. I would right now take the opportunity just to thank the African Union and GMS and Africa program particularly for supporting the private sector. Bringing the private sector on board has been a very, I could say, a transformative move to see that we contribute to capacity, but also we work with institutions that are specialized in different areas of Earth observation applications, and institutions that we are working now, like you will see, is Makerere University, who is the academia part of the consortia that is training, that is building capacity in the region and now beyond. And this is really, really important for a small company like ASIPS to participate. We also now would like to thank RCM RD for bringing on board a small company to work with them at their level to assess and solve problems, of course, using Earth observation. Then, as I have said again, working with Makerere University, we have bigger dreams. You will be involved perhaps in the near future in what we would like to say or to program as a curriculum and research development aspects of this tool to see that it is further developed, it is utilized, but it is also useful to academia. And we know that through academia, research, and education, it's where sustainability and the future will lie for this tool. I would also now like to outline my colleagues who worked tirelessly to build this tool. And some are here and some are not. And the first one is Professor Musinguzi, who has been the technical team leader. Then we have also Paul Mafabi, the late, who unfortunately passed away on the way. And this was the senior wetlands management policy scientist. And then we had also Alan Mazime, who is still with us now, the application development specialist. He will have a presentation shortly. Then we also worked with Tinebeb Johannes, the wetlands and water spatial analyst, handling also stakeholders analysis or engagement. Then we had Henry Massa, whom you have already met here, and he's the environmentalist at ASIPS and the GIS specialist. Then Thomas Enuru, a spatial data analyst, you will meet him during the training, as well as Rafael Wangara, who is the spatial ecologist and training specialist who organized the training material and organized the previous training, and we are now using the same way he organized from the beginning. We have the assistants our spatial analyst assistants, Kennedy Adrico, Ismail, Beatrice Chasimile, and also Hans Max and Tam. So this is a group, if you notice, it is a really group that is interdisciplinary and very, very focused, that we are still with them on board. Reading their names and their specializations is an issue that when you take this tool up, you may not just work alone to utilize it. You may want to create your groups or your teams. It is a teamwork. It's not one person work. Then out of the specializations I have outlined is the stakeholder engagement. Without stakeholder buy-in, without stakeholder involvement, it is difficult to implement, even when you have very good assessments on the table. Therefore, dear participants, I appeal to you that when you go back to utilize this tool, don't sit on your desk and analyze and think that you have done a very good job. The better job is to involve the stakeholders and to work with them to get the outputs, and also make sure that you work with them to see that the outputs are implemented in a way that they were meant. And in that way, we will succeed. We will succeed. I would like to end here and thank everyone for attending and wishing you a great session that is coming right now, but also in the 4 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jane Bemigisha, for those remarks. And without much ado, because we are trying to manage time, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite Dr. Anthony Kidudu, the representative of Makerere University, to give us his remarks. In fact, the university is the one hosting this training at this particular time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to you all. Bonjour tout le monde, habari yenu, sawubona. Nice meeting you all, and thank you for being part of this training. As you have heard, I'm called Anthony Gidudu, and I am an associate professor in the Department of Geomatics and Land Management at Makerere University, and we are privileged to be coordinating this training. As you have heard, we all know we are in a pandemic, and a couple of things have come to mind. We all have been affected or infected by this pandemic in various ways, and we thank God for bringing us this far. One of the lessons that I have personally learned from this pandemic is the importance of lungs. And when Jen mentioned that we have lost around 70% of our wetlands, I was reminded of the analogy that people have made about wetlands, that wetlands are the lungs of the earth. And from the pandemic, we also know that if your lungs have deteriorated by 70%, your chances, you are inching towards a dangerous level, and your chances of survival will actually diminish. And linking this to wetlands, it also brings to mind how precarious the situation is if we do not curb this deterioration of wetlands. And so this training is enabling us harness the potential of geospatial techniques for us to make an input in the preservation of wetlands. And I would like to thank ESIPS for the great work they have done in developing this content. Ordinarily, we would have been doing this training face-to-face, but in the circumstances, we now are in a situation where we have to do online training. And so we're exploring new spaces. There are going to be new challenges. We're going to have new mistakes, but hopefully we shall learn from them day by day and get to a point where we're able to appropriate this technology appropriately. Obviously, if we had done this training face to face, we probably would have been training around 30 people. But thanks, I think, as they say, the silver lining to this pandemic is to explore these new spaces. And we're now able to reach out to, according to my records, we're almost hitting 300. That is something we wouldn't have been able to do face to face. And so we are really grateful for this opportunity for you to be here. We are grateful to ESIPS International for developing this content. We're also grateful to RSMRD for the support and for incorporating private stakeholders in this training or developing this content. And of course, GMS and Africa, coordinated by the African Union, we are truly grateful for your support. We're also grateful for the general support by the European Union, and we are trusting that this knowledge will take us steps further. I don't want to take a lot of our time. At this juncture, would like to invite I always call him my senior brother, Mr. Degelo Sendaba from RCMRD, Regional Center for Mapping of Resources, to give his opening remarks. And from there, we shall hopefully get some representation from the African Union. So thank you very much. And moderator, kindly unmute Mr. Degelo so that we can get his opening remarks. Thank you very much, and have a great training.
And distinguished guests, as well as trainees from different parts of the world, not only the continent. Welcome to this training. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Makerere University and the ESIPS for their active role played to facilitate for this training. And also, I would like to congratulate all of you, as well as African Union. Mr. Meshak is from African Union, who will officially open the training program. So RCMRD has been working as a regional implementing organization of GMS and Africa for Eastern Africa, covering most parts of the IGAD region plus the Indian Ocean Islands. So we had many successive trainings on different application areas and also tools developed, as well as others like training even decision makers or policy makers as a high level government officials. This will be very helpful, the one which we are going to attend it in the coming 4 days will be very helpful for the technical staff. When I'm saying technical staff, it's not only for the ones who run the software or something like that. All technical staff who will provide relevant information for planners, decision makers, as well as local users of that technology. In the future, we will have also more trainings. We are working on those ones. Hope we'll upload and launch the programs, and you will follow and attend. So this will be a good opportunity also to thank African Union, GMS and Africa program, as well as African Space Science Agency, who has been playing an important role for the use of Earth observation and geoinformation. So without their contribution, we couldn't be able to work on these training programs. And again, finally, I would like to pass cards from my Director General, Dr. Emmanuel Kunziza, RCMRD's Director General, who couldn't make it now. So now I would like to advise you all to attend thoroughly this training for the betterment of the African environment, especially the wetlands, which are badly affected throughout the continent, especially in Eastern Africa, to protect and also to manage them properly. Thank you all, and I would like to invite Mr. Meshak from African Union for the official opening.
Good afternoon. Just to confirm if I have feedback from your side, I hope my microphone is okay. Ato Degelo, thank you so much for passing on the baton to me, and I really appreciate what has been happening at ASIMAD, collaboration with Makerere University and the private sector regarding the training. So my name is Mesha Kenywa from African Union, GMS in Africa. I lead the training component of the GMS in Africa and also contribute to the African Space Program. I have a small presentation to make, but I would like to first of all acknowledge Dr. Jane Bemegisha for leading this initiative of the training as the private sector. And I also like to acknowledge Dr. Jidudu Anthony, who has been instrumental in terms of training and coordination of training activities via Makerere University. Ato Degelo, you have been so efficient in terms of coordinating all the activities of GMS in Africa, led by ASIMAD, and we are happy to know that all the stakeholders are well engaged, and this training is just an indication of a lot of things that are happening under your leadership. Regards to Dr. Emmanuel Nkurunziza, who has been a key leader in this component, and I know that he's not around because of so many other engagements, but we acknowledge him and we also want to pass that appreciation. I'm not just coming here, but I have mandate also from Dr. Tidiane Ouattara, who is the space expert at the African Union level and the coordinator overall of GMS in Africa. So I would like to pass his appreciation regarding what is happening around the training component and other development of services in the GMS in Africa program. So if the host allows, I would just go over a few items regarding the training component and to show you where we are coming from, because we have so many participants today who are probably not familiar with GMS in Africa and AUC as a whole. So what happened is that there is an agenda called Agenda 2063 that was formulated by the African heads of state and government, and it was a 50-year initiative back in 2013, projecting up to 2063 on where they would want to be within those 50 years. And it happened at a time that the AU was celebrating the Golden Jubilee. And from that, we have 7 aspirations within the Agenda 2063. And mapping out all those aspirations, we find that space is a key driver of that agenda. And subsequently, the AU heads of state and government identified the African Outer Space Program as a flagship for implementation of this agenda. And this just shows a few objectives where space can cover, but we have a lot more that space addresses more than this. And you bear witness with me that also in the global level, the SDGs, they have been acknowledged that at least all of them, the 17 goals, can be addressed and can derive their services from space. And this is an encouraging thing, because we are not only doing space as a technological advancement or any other endeavor, but we are doing it because it has some socioeconomic benefit. And as we are going to see from this training, space is also applied in wetland management and other natural resource management. So when we did that, we came up with GMS in Africa as one of the implementation leg of the African Outer Space Program. The African Outer Space Flagship addresses four main areas, which we call the domains of space. It's Earth observation, it's satellite communication, navigation and positioning, and astronomy and space sciences. Under Earth observation, we have the implementation of GMS in Africa as one of the important projects that is helping us to gather the data and to gather a lot of information on how best can we come up, with the continental Earth observation program. So under GMS in Africa, we have again 4 pillars. One of them is training, but we have development of services like RCMRD is one of the 12 consortia over the continent that is leading in the development of services in wetland management and 2 other applications. So we came up with a training program. Well, first of all, we had to develop a training strategy. And the training strategy contains several principles that cut across the various needs that we have in the continent. And one of them that we wanted to introduce is actually to have both online classroom and on-the-job trainings. And online training has become very vital in this era of COVID situation. And this is just an indication that what we are attending now is an online platform. We couldn't gather 270 or 280 people in a classroom as we are doing through this Zoom platform. So it has helped us to expand more, and it has helped us to reach out to the masses. Well, the training through academic institution is one of the areas that we have explored. And again, it's demonstrated here by the interaction between RCMRD and the Makerere University. And I have to say that this is one of, I think, one of the champions that we have over the 12 consortia. RCMRD has been a champion in terms of engaging the academic institutions to offer the trainings. And Makerere University, kudos to you. You are doing a lot, and we acknowledge that and we appreciate. And we hope more to be done in order to invigorate this kind of partnership. The other thing is that we wanted to have integration of ICT with EO. Well, we have done some work here, but we still need to do more in terms of integrating the cloud computing component within the Earth observation. Initially, the EO sector used to be a standalone platform, but we want to integrate other emerging technologies in order, to make better use of the data and to infer more information from there. So those are just some of the principles that we identified. We have to acknowledge also that, this triangular interaction between academia, private sector, and the consortia themselves is teaching us a lot, and we have learned a lot of lessons for the next phase and for the next or the future programs that we will implement in Earth observation. We have actually noticed that, academia is a very good platform to reach out to the masses. And when it comes to sustainability of training programs, academia is one of the most useful institution because it's always in the business of training, and domiciling trainings through academia is helping a lot. But also bringing the private sector through that component is helping us to add value to services and to discover more than we used to think within the confines of EO, because the private sector is going beyond EO, integrating other technologies and tools. And we have seen this interaction not only with RCMRD and SCIPs and other private sector, but also in the north, in the south of the continent, in the west and the east all together. And we're going to document, all these lessons learned so that we can inform the future programs. Well, what happened is that we started with gathering needs from all the 12 consortia. The 12 consortia are leading a network of about 120 other institutions. I think each of the consortia has about a minimum of 7 or 10 institutions, including academia and private sector. So all of these were consulted on the training needs, and we gathered all of them in a table. You just see a sample here, but we have more than this. So what happened is that when we received all these training needs, we categorize them into courses, into different courses that we can identify. Those that have to be merged were merged, and we came up with all these that you see in the graph below. And this formed our catalog that then would inform us on how to continue with the implementation of the strategy. So we retreated and said, okay, we have to divide roles between academia. We have to divide roles between especially the African Union Commission at the continental level. We have to also divide some roles within the regional level led by consortia. And this is where, we have realized a lot of dynamics, because allowing the institutions like RCMRD to coordinate trainings at the regional level they have addressed their real needs that might not be required in the other wider continent. So we came up with this training plan to implement the training strategy and the training catalog, and we divided into the 4 pillars of GMS in Africa, which is data and infrastructure, we have services development, we have communication and engagement, and we have management courses. Most of the management courses have been taken by AUC and other, and also consortia at their level. They have been doing a lot at their level in terms of management of grants. Communication of EO is not as simple as other types of communication, because you have to interpret the information and then you deliver that information. And then so we have been able to do several trainings on service communication, but more needs to be done in order to educate the wider communities. Service development, and this is where most of the consortia have been doing a lot of work, tailoring all their specific needs to the training. And at this continental level, we only took that which was cutting across, and we ourselves together with UMETSAT, JRC, and European Space Agency, we have been doing offering this at the continental level. But most of the work, to say the truth, has been done by the consortia like ASEAN and the 11 others. And this is where we have realized a lot of dynamics and achievements. So we have achieved a lot. This is just a capture of what we have done so far. Within a period of 3 years, we have been able to, we mapped out the existing capacity on the continent that has been impacted through other preceding programs like MESA, MESA. We used to have another program called MSD, and we used to have PUMA. All these have derived a lot of capacity of the continent, but we need to document that, and we did that mapping of the existence. Then we have done a lot of trainings together with consortia themselves, together with our assisting partners like GIC, UMETSAT, and we have realized about 3,000 trainings so far. People have been trained widely, and we have also developed a network of universities. This is an active network of universities that is operational, and it's leading in. We have some working groups defined under this network, and we seek to continue engaging this network in the future in terms of reaching out to the wider masses of not only students but other people within the university network. We have a virtual networking platform that universities can interact. And more than that, we have established a digital learning platform that has helped us a lot in terms of reaching and documenting courses. We have over 100 courses so far with approximately 700 users registered within the digital platform. And we have offered over 40 master's and PhD scholarships that have been supporting the development of services. And ASEAN has issued some scholarships as well. So yeah, this is just a pictorial view of what we have achieved, the strategy, the workshops that have been done, the database of existing capacities in the continent, and many others that have been achieved so far. So we really remain grateful to ASEAN, to this consortium and other consortia that are still leading the training aspect. And we are sure that with this kind of development, we will reach out to we will reach the targets of the Agenda 2063, which clearly calls for a revolution of skills in the technical areas, both software and hardware. And we also reach also the targets of the African space strategy, which calls for critical mass of people or scientists that can support the African space program. So I want to thank you, and I want to appreciate you for your patience.
And that marks, of course, I expected Mr. Meshach to sort of declare the training officially opened, but I believe that his remarks had the very intention to declare that this training is now officially open and launched. And so, of course, virtually, members and participants, please, you give a hand clap to everyone, and would like to assure you of the commitment of the AU, as already alluded, commitment of RCMRD, and the partners like Makerere University and ESIPS International are representing the private sector in this program. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we will now go into the technical bit, or sort of to say the actual training commencing. I would like to invite, I know Mr. Degel is quite busy, Meshach is quite busy, Dr. Gidudu and Dr. Jane, but we would want to invite you to stay in and at least participate in this opening session, first session that will take us through the introduction on wetlands. And with this, I would like to invite Mrs. Tinebeb Johannes, all the way from Ethiopia, to take the floor and take us through the next session. Otherwise, thank you all for sticking here. Our numbers have been constant, and that is a good indication that people are attentive wherever they are. They are listening and taking notes, and we know that we'll definitely achieve our objectives for this particular training. We have posted, Tinebeb has posted a couple of questions. The chats are open, so please, I like it. People are posting their names and their institutions and countries. I think that is good. So please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat platform. But importantly, there are 4 broad areas that we would like to discuss towards the end of this session that Tinebeb will handle. So she has posted these questions, broad questions and category and areas for reflection. We know we are dealing with a multifaceted and diverse expertise of participants. And so we'll cluster you at some point. And this is an engaging training. It's a participatory, and it's not one person sitting one side and talking to the class. So we'll try to make it as participatory as possible, as much as the tools and the gadgets allow us to do so. So please follow the chats as well as you attend and listen to the talking and the discussions. Thank you. So over to you, Tinebeb.